Hi guys, this is Mr. Carl, and this is our second part of our May Fine Motor packet. You're going to find a jellyfish that works on cutting. So I picked jellyfish because it's nicer out. People might be in the water where they might encounter a jellyfish or two. So this is going to be an activity that works on coloring, cutting, and our fine motor skills, our visual motor skills, our bilateral coordination skills using both hands together. So let's get started. We're going to start with blue. I'm going to color my jellyfish blue, and what I'm going to do with my Wiki Sticks, I'm going to ball him up. I'm going to put him like a little ball to put over his eyeballs, so his eyeballs stay white. So since we're going to cut this guy out, it's not really going to matter so much if we go outside the lines, but I'm going to use my tripod grasp, my thumb, pointer finger, middle finger holding the pencil or the crayon, coloring inside the lines best I can. As I run into the Wiki Stick eyeballs, that's okay. Again, if this is a challenging position for you to get into, you can take a cotton ball or another manipulative and put it in those two fingers. Prompt your student to hold the manipulative while you color. That way you only have these two or three fingers to color with. And you'll notice my other hand is holding the paper. Now, if holding the paper is the challenge, you can tape it to the wall or just tape it in place. But it's a good skill to be able to use both hands together. Okay, so let's see, we probably want to do his tentacles too. So we'll go color these guys. So now I'm using the side of the crayon. A lot of students really like using the side of the crayon because you can color a lot of area really fast. It's a similar thing, a couple fingers, 2 fingers, 3 fingers on the side of the crayon. Okay, then we'll pick off our Wiki Sticks, leaving our eyeballs white and intact. And next, so cutting this out, if you can cut this out, then I would say go for it. You just start here, go all the way around. If cutting is more of a challenge and something you're working on, I'm going to suggest you get a piece of paper. This is a pretty thick piece of paper. As I fold it in half, I'm going to slide it underneath and I'm going to staple it. So the red piece of paper is going to be right under where the jellyfish is. So let's see if it makes more sense when I do it. Good, and you can have your student work on stapling as well. Having to push down one hand, maybe 2 hands. Or if your fingers are a little bigger, a little stronger, maybe you can do it without 2 hands, but I find you usually need to use 2. I'm going to cut off the top of this just so I can get my tiny stapler closer. So if you could staple using one hand, I would suggest using your thumb on top, your other 2 fingers on the bottom. Oh, that's pretty hard, particularly when 2 staples come out at the same time. Okay, don't mind the staple. And we'll do our last one over here. And so the reason we're putting the staples on and stapling this piece of paper to our other piece of paper is because this is going to give us a lot more stability. Now, if I just hold up a regular piece of paper, it's going to bend. And then cutting this piece of paper is going to be annoying at best. So now that I have this piece of paper behind my paper, it gives it a lot more weight. And though it might be a little harder physically to chomp through with the scissors, it takes a little bit of the maneuvering of the paper part out of the equation. So I would highlight for my student where we would cut, I'd give them a line just like this. I'm gonna go all the way around. And then back down. Now this is great if you're working on curves. If you're not working on curves, I would probably stop there with my highlighting and just let them go straight through the paper. My line would probably look like this. I'd say cut that line. So we'll give it a shot. One hand holding the paper, other hand holding the scissors, thumb in the little hole, other fingers in the big hole. Opening and closing. Just gonna cut that straight off. Good. So if you're working on cutting straight lines, note I have to move my hand as I cut. To keep my staple involved, I'm going to go around it. Okay. So, again, if you're just working on cutting straight lines, we will just go like this. We'll just highlight our line. That way we know just exactly where we're cutting. And I find it helps to go even off to the page where the page ends, so the student really knows where to start. Because sometimes if you tell them you want to cut this line over here, they're not really going to know how to get there. So if you can set them up like this, and they're ready to go. And what I would probably do for my students is put a wiki stick up here, because it could be really tempting to just go right through that piece of paper, and then your jellyfish would be in many pieces. So in order to keep them intact, we're going to have the wiki stick right there. Now, if your student did try to go through the wiki stick, they would definitely run into it with time enough for you to catch them trying to cut through it. Okay, and then we're gonna turn them sideways and we're gonna cut across. I guess you don't have to do this part, but since we stopped coloring here, I'm gonna do this one. Now, if you're working on snipping, you as the teacher adult could have done these long snips and just had your student do the little snips. Sorry, could have done the big cuts and have your student just do the little snips. Again, I would work on having them hold the paper with one hand, and I would just really give them one at a time. Giving them more than one is just too much. So holding it with one hand, snipping with the other. We're gonna have a lot of red confetti at the end, but that's okay. Okay. So we'll pull off our wiki stick, and then we'll cut our curve. If curve is something you're working on, I would set your student up kind of like this. And instead of having your student go around and cut without moving the paper, I would encourage them to, right about here, I would prompt them to turn the paper and then turn the paper again. It's very slight, the turns, but it's really what we're working on, using both hands together there. And then, lo and behold, you have your blue octopus, or octopus, jellyfish, and kind of a ghost from Pac-Man. So there's your craft. On the back, of course, I have my student write their name. I'd probably draw a little box. If they needed a model, I would put the name above, like so, and I'd say connect the dots, or just write your name in the box. Okay, so there is your jellyfish craft. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns, and I'll see you in the next video.